Ready or Not just got an update, and it takes stuff out of the game. And the sad thing is, this is not the first time it's happened, and it's part of a frustrating trend that's been going on for at least a decade, probably more. Recap. Ready or Not just got released on consoles. To make sure crossplay worked, Void Interactive took out some stuff. Some more graphic scenes and moments of intense content. In Twisted Nerve, A Lethal Obsession, and a few other levels, like Hide and Seek. It kind of goes against the gritty, realistic approach of the game, but I guess they wanted to ensure that cross-compatibility worked. There are already mods to restore this content, it just sucks that it came at this cost. It also came at the cost of our save games, apparently. When I logged in to check things out, I found that all of my progress had been wiped out, which was awesome. And I also found that the game ran worse, so I guess optimization's shot as well. And what I'm getting at with this is, it sucks when a live service game, can you call Ready or Not a live service game? I feel like it kind of fits all the criteria at this point. A game that's supported post-launch. It's a double-edged thing. I like it when a game receives more content and it's able to be fleshed out further. I have a lot of good things to say about military conflict in Vietnam for that reason. That game did post-launch content right, where it actually did add more and more as it went on. There are a few things it removed, and honestly I was fine with those aspects being gone, because it made up for it in its own ways. But Ready or Not has been doing this for a while now. For the 1.0 launch, they got rid of the multiple game modes for the levels. They got rid of barricaded suspects and bomb defusal and stuff of that sort, where you could retry levels in different scenarios, and they'd be adjusted accordingly with suspects behaving differently. That was a lot of fun. People loved it, and Void just got rid of it. You couldn't even just leave it as an option for the levels that supported it. And it's just gone entirely. You gotta use mods to restore it. You know what else Void got rid of? They got rid of the original versions of the hotel and the farm levels. The Carriers of the Vine and Ides of March. The original versions of those were unique. Hotel featured a standoff with a biker gang and some other groups, and the farm was set at night, and it had you going up against an early version of the Mariposa Lily organization, a militia and cult. And they were really cool, but Void took them out of the game. They didn't even leave them as like optional side content. They were just removed entirely. And don't get me wrong, I love those versions of the levels. I love the current versions of the levels. But it's unfortunate that they just took it out without even giving it an option as like, hey, here's some side, non-canon content to the story if you guys want to play around with the original versions of the levels. And the worst part is that this isn't even the first time either. That wasn't, nor was the console censorship. I mean, going back, Ready or Not lost the MPL submachine gun, the M76 SMG, PvE mode, though, I mean, I've heard PvE wasn't very good. I haven't played it myself, but I was just in Ready or Not for the single-player stuff. But it seems more and more like it's just a game that's been gutted over the years. It feels like a lot of content's been left on the wayside, and unless you're using Steam depots or early builds, you can't experience that version of the game that had that content anymore. That's what upsets me, and that's what I'm trying to get at with this video. I really dislike how games with post-launch content lose their identities over time and you can't recapture what made them special. As an example, Payday 2, I loved it in 2015. Then Crime Fest 2015 came along and kind of ruined everything about it. Overhauling the weapons, adding microtransactions, and then later on, in 2016, they changed enemy behaviors, so instead of handling themselves in strategic squads, they would just flood you with sheer numbers. And they got rid of unique enemies like the hostage rescue units, in favor of just a flood of SWAT or FBI SWAT enemies. Payday 2 did go on to change some things and improve some things, but the version of the game I loved in 2015 was gone forever. I could download the original version of it before the Crime Fest update, but nobody would play it. The part I liked is gone. And it made me sad to think about the fact that I could never re-experience the fun I had with it. At least not with other people. And it's not like it's exclusive to Payday either. When I played Deadfall Adventures at first in 2022, I really didn't like what the game had to offer. I ended up giving up on it. It turned out that had also been a victim of post-launch content. One of the last patches for the game kind of made it worse. It also removed aspects of the single player. A lot of weapons were locked to multiplayer only, and nobody knows why. It's the multiplayer mode that nobody plays either, so they just went to waste there. People did find a way to restore those original weapons, but it's baffling that developers would use the update system, something that could be used to expand on the game, add more content, to take away that content, to make their game less full than it had been, to carve out aspects and just set them aside, not even letting players enjoy them. It happens all over the place, and you hear stories of Call of Duty having limited time modes, where they'll add some popular mode and then just take it away later on. Or like how with Generation Zero, it's a game that's very good, but over time the optimization's just gotten worse and worse, and you can't really go back to the version that ran better, so unless you're willing to shell out money to upgrade your computer, you're out of luck. What am I getting at with all of this? I guess just that I wish developers would be more careful with how they handle games post-launch. Games like Military Conflict Vietnam, like Cyberpunk 2077, they handle post-launch content correctly, because they built off of what made their games good, and improved aspects where it was lacking. Whereas stuff like Ready or Not, it's like every update hollows out the game more and more. Not only does it run worse, but there's less to do. There are less options for making the game unique, and less things to have fun with. You can't play around with different modes. You can't use some of the weapons unless you're getting DLC to restore the M14 or the G3. You can't play player versus player unless you're modding it in. After a while, it's well, what else are you going to take out of the game? And this last update just kind of went further. It's we're going to take out some more serious things we depicted within this game. We're going to take away the evidence of abuse in Twisted Nerve and in Hide and Seek. We're going to take away signs of the main suspect's insanity in A Lethal Obsession. Just little things like that. It's frustrating to see developers chip away at the product they made, at the work of art they made. I don't even know why at this point. There was no explanation given about why Deadfall Adventures got that content removal. Payday 2 was just a mess. I can't even begin to understand the choices they made outside of greed. And Ready or Not, it's supposedly to comply with ratings boards for Sony and Microsoft. From what I understand, the ESRB didn't have issues with the content they were removing. It was more of the console publishers. Probably just Sony in all likelihood, but I don't have 100% proof there. And I don't know, this loss of authenticity is one thing, but it's a tragedy when you can't re-experience what made the game special. And you can't just go back, for a game that came out on the PS2 or consoles before updates, you can still enjoy that. You can still grab the original versions of Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, or Vice City, and you can enjoy them pre-censorship, pre-content removal with licensed songs being removed. But for stuff that came out in the digital age, like Ready or Not, unless you're going to go looking for an early build of the game, you're not going to be able to experience that. I was lucky enough to have fun with the different modes, with barricaded suspects, bomb defusal, so on. But other people won't get to enjoy that. Console players will never get to enjoy that, because I really doubt Void's going to bring those modes back or add in bot support. Even Crime Boss has kind of fallen victim to this, with a lot of their updates really getting into power creep for the enemies and trying to leverage the player to get some of the DLC weapons to even the odds. I just, like, the missions they added where you're fighting against Hielo or robbing the art gallery, it's just not even fun anymore just because of how brutal the enemies are. It's like developers compromising on their own visions for money. And you already know how I feel about AI art assets being used in games. Though I'd rather just... It's petty, but I'd rather them at least be pretty. But the problem is, it seems like a lot of AI art assets just look like crap, and they conflict with the game's art style. This is both for Ready or Not, and for Crime Boss, by the way. I'm not playing favorites there. I would hope that Void would turn things around and maybe set things right. You could start by at least adding a toggle for this explicit content. That way players can choose whether or not they want to see some of the darker aspects of the game. They could decide for themselves, hey, I'd rather have these modes available if I want to try them out on my own. Or it's like, I want to stick with the intended experience, I'll turn them off. Or if they'd want to play the original hotel or farm levels, it'd be nice to be able to just choose that instead of having to go to a mod site. Especially because it doesn't have Steam Workshop support. But that's not an option. It's just being gutted more and more and more. And that's just sad. Ready or Not deserves better. A lot of games deserve better when they're live service. It's like, after a while, you don't know what you're gonna get. You might wake up to find the game totally unrecognizable, and just taking in a direction you aren't happy with, but you can do nothing about. Anyway, that's it for me. Bit of a ramble there, but the recent update for Ready or Not, pumping into the game and just seeing how things have turned out, really made me think about it. What do you all think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about live service games, about post-launch content, sometimes taking stuff out, and about the pre-patching era of games versus the post-patching era. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.